Yes, good evening, everyone. Today's newspaper. Okay. How come you're here? Huh. We can look at the business page. Okay, so you can see here there's one article which says action plan is needed to distribute industries evenly across the states. So this is based upon a report of the Standing Committee on Finance. Okay, Where's, where does this article fit into? In your syllabus, you have a topic, industrial policy in India. So in that particular syllabus, this particular article would fit into industrial policy. So basically, you know that in India, there are only few states which are known for their manufacturing sector. These states include Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu. And to that, if you add UP, even UP is slowly emerging as a manufacturing powerhouse. It is being said that these 5 states alone, that is the 4 southern states, and the southern states and the western states, plus the state of UP, these 5 states, they alone account for somewhere around 47 percentage of our manufacturing output, almost 47%. On the contrary, if you see the 7 northeastern states, their contribution to manufacturing output is very, very negligible, which shows that there is disparity when it comes to industrial development. So this article highlights that in order to promote regional development, balanced regional development, we need to have a action plan to have a diversified industrial base. Okay? Okay. I don't think anything else is important from today's newspaper. Only that article is important. Okay. Where did you stop in the last class? Causes of inflation. Did I explain the causes already? Okay. So please write down. Make the next heading causes of inflation. There you can write down. Inflation is caused due to demand supply mismatch. Inflation is caused due to demand supply mismatch, wherein demand and supply are considered to be two independent factors. Wherein demand and supply are considered to be two independent factors. Full stop. This means that demand is not dependent on supply. This means that demand is not dependent on supply. And similarly, supply is not dependent on demand. Supply is not dependent on demand. Next para. Thus, inflation is caused due to mismatch between demand and supply. Thus, inflation is caused due to mismatch between demand and supply. Under that, write first one, demand pull inflation. Demand pull inflation. Put a hyphen and write. Increase in demand, assuming supply remains constant. Increase in demand, assuming supply remains constant. Full stop. Some of the examples include number one, increase in the prices of ACs during summer. Increase in the prices of ACs during summer. Second, increase in the prices of room heaters during winter. Increase in the prices of room heaters during winter. Third, increase in demand for gold during festival. Increase in demand for gold during festival. Next, increase in demand for mask during COVID-19, etc. Second factor you can write. Second factor, supply side inflation. Supply side inflation slash cost push inflation. Slash cost push inflation. Cost due to, put a hyphen and write, cost due to decrease in supply. Cost due to decrease in supply or increase in the cost of raw materials. Cost due to decrease in supply or increase in the cost of raw materials. Right? Examples include increase in prices of wheat, increase in the prices of wheat due to decrease in their production on account of heat waves. Next one, increase in the prices of electric batteries. Increase in the prices of electric batteries due to export ban by China on rare earth magnets. Next, increase in the crude oil prices, fertilizer prices, increase in crude oil prices, comma, fertilizer prices, comma, sunflower oil prices, sunflower oil prices due to Russia-Ukraine war. Due to Russia-Ukraine war. Similar next example, increase in the cost of electricity, increase in the cost of electricity due to flooding of coal mines, due to flooding of coal mines during monsoon. During monsoon. Okay, all of you just go through all the examples that I have dictated. Carefully read all the examples highlighting the demand and supply side inflation. I hope it's clear, everyone. So this is an example of demand pull inflation, and this is an example of cost push inflation. You can just take down this as an example. Hemant, you can keep this. Okay, everyone? Fine. So just see the list of topics. We have covered the meaning of inflation. Then we have covered the causes. Next, we are going to cover the effects of inflation. So please write effects of inflation. Effects of inflation. Okay. I will dictate these points. So just pay attention. With respect to how inflation is going to affect the different stakeholders. Like we will see the effect of inflation from the perspective of a consumer. Then we will see the effect of inflation from the perspective of a producer or a manufacturer. And then finally, what is the effect of inflation on the economy as a whole? That is what we're going to cover. Let's start with that, consumer. if the prices of goods, services increase, I would say that most of the goods and services, they will become unaffordable to the poor people. Is that clear? Now, for example, um, one of the most politically sensitive commodity in India happens to be onions. It is being said in the past, what has happened is whenever onion prices have increased, right? People got so frustrated that people have voted the government out of power. It has happened in the past. It has happened with the Indira Gandhi government actually. So whenever the prices of onion have increased, people will not be able to purchase onions, and people feel so frustrated that they vote out the incumbent government. Like last time, when UPA government was in power, right? There were multiple reasons for the fall of the UPA government, but one of the reason was rising inflation. So in the year 2013, the price of 1 kg of onion had increased to almost around 150 to 200 rupees per kg. So what will happen is, if there's an inflation, goods will become unaffordable. That's a biggest problem as far as the poor people are concerned. And if they become unaffordable, can I say that their standard of living will worsen, their quality of living will worsen? Imagine just let's say almost a year back, 1 kg of tomato, its value had increased to 200 rupees per kg tomato. Imagine a rickshaw puller. This rickshaw puller may be earning per day somewhere like 400 to 500 rupees only. And if the price of tomato is somewhere like 200, what will the rickshaw puller do? He will give up eating tomato. Did you understand this thing? So it is very sensitive as far as the poor people are concerned. If you see the richer people, for richer people even don't know what is the price of onion and tomato. Like I'm very sure most of you would not know the price of onion and tomato, right? Because people are not concerned. But for the poor people, it actually matters a lot. So the first thing is unaffordable. Second, and very important, is whenever there is an inflation, there would be decrease in the purchasing power of currency. Look at the word which I mentioned. Decrease in what? Purchasing power. What you can purchase with same amount of currency, that purchasing power will reduce. Example of which is, let's say in the year 2025, there's a person whose income is rupees 100. Let's assume that this particular person does not eat anything except apple. Let's assume that. And let's say price of one apple in the year 2025 was rupees 10. Considering that he is not purchasing anything except apple, how many apples can he purchase? 10 apples. Next year, 2026, let's say his income continues to remain as 100 only. But price of apple, let's say, has doubled to rupees 20 per apple. It means how many apples can he purchase now? 5. Money is same now. It was like 100 rupees last year. Now also it is 100 rupees. But with 100 rupees, last year how many apples you could purchase? 10. But now how many is able to purchase? Just 5. This is called as decrease in purchasing power of currency. So over a period of time, what happens to value of currency is, the value of currency as such is purchasing power will keep falling. I'll just give an example from your childhood days. Let's say in your childhood, you're walking on a road, accidentally, let's say you find a 1 rupee coin lying on the road. Can I say each one of you will be very, very excited with 1 rupee coin? Because let's say that time, cost of one orange candy was 25 paisa. With 1 rupee, how many orange candies can you purchase? 4. You'll be very happy. But let's say अभी class खत्म हो गया, you're walking on the road पे 1 rupee दिखा आपको. Most of us would not even care to pick up that 1 rupee. If you don't believe me, I'll give an example. You go to a shop, you purchase something worth rupees 99. For that, you are paying 100 rupees to the shopkeeper. Without even asking your permission, without even asking you anything, that particular shopkeeper will give you a toffee which you have not even heard in your life. जो अभी आपने खाया भी नहीं होगा. What everyone will do, without questioning him, you will take the toffee and keep it in your pocket, and you not even worry about that 1 rupee. So what has happened to purchasing power of 1 rupee now? It has got reduced. Because its purchasing power has got reduced, 1 rupee does not get that kind of respect which used to get earlier. If it is 1 rupee for you, for the next generation, it could be like 10 rupee. Understand that. So you must have heard from your fathers, na? Like people have this habit. When I started my career, I started with a monthly salary of this much. Generally, fathers have this habit of telling this or not. What is that value which they are earning that time? That time it was very high, but now its value is very less. समझ में आया सबको, right? So the biggest problem with inflation is purchasing power of currency will reduce. Let's see from the perspective of producer. Please pay attention. Let's say I am a farmer in this case. I'm a farmer. I'm cultivating apple. When I used to sell the apple in the market, in 2025, how much rupee I used to get? 10 rupee. Now, the same apple which I'm selling in the market, how much money I'm getting to get? 20. So, what will happen to producers? Will they be happy or sad? They will be sad? They should be happy, na? Because last time they used to get 10 rupees, now they're getting 20. So, they should be happy. Bharat, why? Ha. So, that's what I wanted to tell you. Good. You must understand that yes, producers will earn more on their finished product. No doubt about it. But what is the definition of inflation that I gave you in yesterday's class? Inflation is a general and persistent increase. So the word is what? General. Now, for example, let's say here, I as a farmer, I have some inputs. I use this input and then I will get a output. What are the inputs for the farmer? Seeds, fertilizer, water, electricity, pesticides. All of this are my inputs. For example, in 2025, let's say my input was rupees 5. And when I used to sell the apple in the market, I used to get 10 rupees. So how much is the profit which I used to get every year? 5. I used to pay 5 rupees for input and I used to get 10 rupees. Now, by what extent the price of apple has increased? It has increased by rupees 10. It has increased by rupees 10. It means price of not just apple, price of everything in the economy has increased by rupees 10. So in the year 2026, what will be my prices of inputs? 15 now. Because it has increased by 10. And how much is my value? My value is 20. So how much is the profit which I'm earning even now? Just 5. Whatever profit I used to earn before, I'm earning same amount of profit. समझ में आया सबको? Right? So the thing that you should know for the producer is the producer will also get adversely affected because there will be increase in the cost of raw materials. And if there's increase in the cost of raw material, what will happen to production cost? Production cost will increase. Did you all understand this? Okay, I'll give you another example where I can prove to you that for the producer, there is no increase in the real profit. What is the word which I'm using? Real profit. How? Let's see by an example. Okay, let's say we are talking about, let's say, year. The price which the farmer is getting, and let's say what he used to buy. Let's say in the year 2025, the farmer used to get rupees 10 for every apple that he used to sell. Can I say farmer is not just a producer? Farmer is also what? Consumer. Every producer is a consumer or not? Every producer is a consumer. They'll also purchase some their own finished product. So let's say the farmer used to go to market, and from the market the farmer used to buy one orange, which means cost of one orange kitna tha? 10 rupees. Now 2026, the farmer is getting 20 rupees. Farmer is very happy because last time he was getting 10, now he's getting 20. He'll go to market. He'll think ki last time I purchased only one orange, now I can purchase how many oranges? 2 oranges. But when he goes to the market, in market, what will be the price of one orange now? Price of one orange will be 20. If price of apple has increased, means what will happen to price of orange? Price of orange will also increase. I hope it's clear. So understand, in any economy, you cannot strictly differentiate between a producer and a consumer. The consumer can also be a producer, and producer can also be a consumer. That's really very important. I hope this part is clear. And you must understand, in economy, everyone is interlinked. No one is actually acting independently in an economy. I'll just tell you an example. If you're staying in old Rajendra Nagar, right? This ORN has an economy of its own. You must have observed that. When I say it has an economy of its own, for example, rental prices in old Rajendra Nagar will depend upon what? The rental prices in old Rajendra Nagar depend upon the number of students who are coming to stay here. Suddenly, in the last 2 to 3 years, the number of students in old Rajendra Nagar has reduced. So what has happened to rental prices? It has reduced. Similarly, there are so many hotels, restaurants, chaiwalas, vendors in ORN. Everyone is dependent upon whom? The students. So it's like a ecosystem of its own. It's like an economy of its own. You cannot distinguish that one entity is independent of another entity. Everyone is interlinked. Now let's see about economy. What is the problem as far as the economy is concerned? Think here, if producers, if the cost of manufacturing has increased, Second, if they are not actually making any real profit, will they ever invest money in the economy? There will be no incentive to invest. So I can write lack of incentive to invest. If they do not invest, what do you think will happen to job creation? Job creation in the economy will reduce. Job creation will fall. If investment has got reduced, if job creation has got reduced, what will happen to the overall production of goods and services? That will also reduce. What is the term which measures the production of goods and services in an economy? GDP. So what is happening to our GDP? Our GDP growth is also falling. So look at a situation where investment is falling down, job creation has fallen down, and what has happened to our GDP? GDP has fallen down. All of this is taking place due to what? Due to inflation. And because of this inflation, can I say that there is certain level of stagnation in the economy? Stagnation in terms of investment, stagnation in terms of job creation as well as production. If you combine these two terms, what we get is another term which is called as stagflation. Stagnation plus inflation. So, understand, in any economy, if you think production of goods, services has fallen, and if there is a fall in employment, or let's say there is increase in unemployment, that specific term that we'll call that as stagflation. I hope everyone has understood the term stagflation. याद रहेगा? Okay. So please write down. Effect of inflation. Effect of inflation. You're thinking something? Sure? Okay. Effect of inflation. First one, consumers. Goods and services would become unaffordable. Goods and services would become unaffordable. Second, decrease in purchasing power. Decrease in purchasing power of currency. Decrease in purchasing power of currency as less quantity of goods, as less quantity of goods can be purchased with same amount of money, as less quantity of goods can be purchased with same amount of money. Please take down this example so that you are able to remember this. This example. Okay. Everyone second now. Next. Effect on producer. Effect on producer. First one, can write increase in the cost of raw materials, increase in the cost of raw materials would lead to increase in production cost. Increase in the cost of raw materials would lead to increase in the production cost. Second, no increase in the real profit, no increase in the real profit as the cost of as the cost of all other as the cost of all other goods as the cost of all other goods also increases proportionately. Also increases proportionately. Next para I can write. For example, in 2025, in 2025, farmer may sell one apple at rupees 10. Farmer may sell one apple at rupees 10 and purchase one orange at rupees 10. In 2026, comma, farmer sells apple at rupees 20, full stop, yet his real profit does not increase as the price of orange would have also increased to rupees 20. Next one, effect on economy. Higher prices discourage the producers from investing. Higher prices discourage the investors from investing. Next line. Increase in unemployment. Third, decrease in production of goods. And hence fall in GDP growth rate. Next line. Higher rate of inflation accompanied by stagnation in the economy is referred to as is referred to as stagflation. Is referred to as stagflation. Is everyone clear? Okay. This is the question from CDS 2023, Combined Defense Services exam. Which one of the following situations leads to inflation? Shiva? Rapid growth of aggregate demand. I think it's very easy question. Hemant? Why can't we? Which one? B. B for Bombay. Sluggish growth. Sluggish growth का मतलब what do you mean by sluggish? हाँ, ऐसे क्वेश्चन में क्या करना है, हिंदी में पढ़ना है. ठीक है, तो sluggish का मतलब है fall. Sluggish means fall, where demand is not increasing. So when is inflation caused? Inflation is caused when there is a increase in demand. Huh? Growth what? Sluggish. हाँ, स्लो ग्रोथ से तो नहीं होगा ना, रैपिड ग्रोथ से होता है, राइट? क्लियर है? ओके. This is a very tricky question. Let me see how many of you will be able to answer this. Take your time. A rise in price of commodity means if the price of any commodity increases, some are smiling. Swarnim, pata chala answer? Okay, good. Anil, you're also smiling. I forgot your name. Dilshad, you know the answer? You want to take a guess? Samya? D, Anil? Swarnim? Fourth? आपको क्या लगता है? I forgot your name. Shivam, right? Shubham or Shivam? Shivam, huh? What is the answer? Okay. If you see the answer to this question is D. It is rise in the value of commodity. What has happened to value of commodity? Commodity value has increased. What has happened to value of currency? Value of currency has fallen. If you see fall in the value of currency, it is right. But यहाँ पे क्या लिखा है? Only. Rise in value of commodity only, because it says only, that is why it is wrong. So that's why this is the right answer. It's a very tricky question in that way. Okay. I'll show you another question. What do you think is the answer to this question? The sustained decrease in price level is called as sustained increase in price level. क्या बोलते हैं? Inflation. If prices increase, inflation. If prices reduce, deflation. We don't call it as recession. We'll come to that. What is recession in the next part. The situation in which economy is growing slowly along with rapid inflation. Inflation बहुत ज़्यादा है and economy बहुत ही slow growth हो रहा है. What is that situation? Is it stagnation? हो सकता है. Deflation? हो सकता है. Stagflation? What is more appropriate? Stagflation. That's what we covered. Answers CDS exam 2021. Okay, let's see how many of you will be able to get the right answer to this question. Which one of the following is a measure that can be used by the government for combating inflation. What can you do to combat inflation? Hmm? First one, increasing the non-plan expenditure. Chalo. Bharat says we have to increase the expenditure. Whatever it is. If you increase the expenditure, what will happen to money supply in the economy, Bharat? Money supply in the economy will increase. किस में इंक्रीज हो रहा है? दूसरे ऑप्शन में कहां पे इंक्रीज हो रहा है? Okay. The right answer to this question is actually increasing the rate of interest. This is the right answer, but no, we'll come to that. We'll come to that. Okay. Now we're going to the last part. Last part is steps to be taken. Don't worry, we'll discuss this, right? Steps to be taken. So we have covered meaning, cause, effect sign. Last part is steps to be taken, right? Steps to be taken. Okay. You may pay attention here. When we said inflation, I told you that if you see the causes of inflation, there are basically two causes. One is increase in demand, and the other one is decrease in the supply. There are two independent causes. Because there are two independent causes, the steps taken should also be different based upon the underlying cause. If you see increase in demand, there are a number of reasons why demand increases, but here I would say that demand increases due to increase in, yes, money supply. I hope everyone agrees with me on this. If people have more money, what will happen? People demand for goods, services will increase. Now, for example, if you go back to your childhood days, if during summer, most of people would prefer to have a, let's say, a air cooler during summer. But now, over a period of time, what has happened to income of the people? Income of people has increased. So instead of using air coolers, what will people buying now? Air conditioners, ACs. So what has happened? Because the people's income level is increasing, people's demand for goods, services also increases. So if you have to control inflation, we have to reduce the demand. To reduce demand, हमें क्या करना चाहिए? Money supply. So demand increases due to increase in money supply. So hence RBI focuses on decreasing money supply. Imagine if I am the RBI, during inflation, what I will try to do is I'll try to reduce the money supply. Imagine a vacuum cleaner. You know what does a vacuum cleaner do? Is, let's say there's an excess dirt. That excess dirt is absorbed by the vacuum cleaner. Similarly, here what is RBI doing? RBI is acting like that vacuum cleaner where it is sucking out the excess money. The excess money is like a dirt. Why I would say it is a dirt? Because the excess money is pulling down our GDP growth rate. So RBI will focus on decreasing the money supply, for which RBI adopts a monetary policy, which is called as tight monetary policy, or it is called as dear money monetary policy. Wherein RBI increases the policy rates such as CRR, SLR, repo, reverse repo, etc. The next topic that I'm going to cover is this only, about how is RBI sucking out money. But understand the type of monetary policy. What do we call this as? Tight monetary policy, or we even call it as dear money policy. This side, why is the inflation cause decrease in supply due to shortage of commodity causes inflation. So what should we do in this particular case? The main cause is shortage of commodity. So what we should do is we should increase the supply of commodity. Who should do it? RBI should do it or government should do it? This is where government will come into picture. So when I say RBI is controlling inflation, predominantly which kind of inflation is RBI controlling? Demand side. If it is supply side inflation, who will predominantly control it? Government will control it. So here government should increase the supply of commodity. I'm giving you 30 seconds. Please tell me, how can the government increase the supply of some commodity if it is in shortage? What things should the government do? That obviously government can't do. What does the government do under the Essential Commodities Act? And yes, good. One point is, I would say, government should prevent black marketing or hoarding. I hope you know what's the meaning of hoarding, na? People deliberately purchase commodities in bulk. When they deliberately purchase commodities in bulk, there will be artificial scarcity in the market. As soon as there's artificial scarcity, what will happen to prices? Prices will increase. Once the prices increase, they'll sell it from the godown and make illegal profit. That is one. Anything else, Swarnim? Huh? Subsidies on? Give more subsidies on production. Good. Anything else? Good. The most important thing is release the buffer stock of food grains. If you have maintained some buffer stock, na, that buffer stock we have to release, supply will increase and prices will drop. Or I can also say government can ban export. When we ban export of something, we are ensuring that the goods which are actually going out of India do not go out. We have more goods in India. Supply of the goods will increase, prices will reduce. India has done that. Yes, India has done it for wheat. Or yes, increase in imports by reducing customs Okay, you can write down steps to be taken under that. Okay. हाँ स्वर्णिम पूछे। हाँ मुझे पूछ सकते हो। हम्म। हाँ तो वो क्या है? ओके, राइट। Steps to be taken under that, right? Inflation can be caused due to inflation may be caused due to increase in demand, increase in demand, or decrease in supply. Increase in demand or decrease in supply. Full stop. Hence, depending upon the cause, hence depending upon the cause, comma, different steps may be taken. Depending upon the cause, different steps may be taken. Next para I can write demand pull inflation. Demand pull inflation. Demand pull inflation. Under that you can write it is mainly caused due to increase in the money supply. It is mainly caused due to increase in money supply. Full stop. Thus the RBI, thus the RBI, thus the RBI would reduce the money supply. Thus the RBI would reduce the money supply by adopting by adopting by adopting contractionary by adopting contractionary slash tight slash dear contractionary slash tight slash dear monetary policy. Full stop. As part of this policy, as part of this policy, RBI, as part of this policy, RBI would increase the policy rates. RBI would increase the policy rates such as CRR, SLR, repo, etc. Next para, cost push inflation. Next para, cost push inflation is caused due to decrease in supply. Is caused due to decrease in supply. Full stop. Hence the government focuses on increasing the supply. Hence the government focuses on increasing the supply through the following ways. Number one, prevent black marketing and hoarding. Prevent black marketing and hoarding. Hoarding spelling is HOARDING. Hoarding. Prevent black marketing and hoarding. Second, provide subsidies to increase production. Provide subsidies to increase production. Third, ban on exports. Third, ban on exports. Example, wheat exports. Example, right? Wheat. Ban on exports. Example, wheat. Uh, Next one, increase imports by reducing customs duty. Increase imports by reducing customs duty. Next one, release food grains from the buffer stock. Release food grains from the buffer stock. Okay. Write a note after this. Note the details of note the details of causes, effects, the details of causes, effects, and steps needed. Steps needed to counter inflation. To counter inflation would be discussed in the inflation chapter. So understand, we are not done with the inflation. ठीक है? ये बस cursory understanding है, because we have to go into depth of inflation. Like what are the effects of inflation with respect to nominal and real rates of interest. There are so many things. It will take me at least one class totally. It is just a basic understanding which is needed to go to the next part, that is a monetary policy. Next, make a heading, recession. Next heading, recession. Put a hyphen and write meaning, cause, effects, and steps needed. Meaning, cause, effects, and steps needed. So whatever we have covered for inflation, the same thing we are going to cover it for recession. So there write the meaning. Write the meaning. Deflation refers to, right? Deflation. Meaning, deflation refers to, deflation. Write first deflation. Deflation refers to sustained decrease in prices. Deflation refers to sustained decrease in prices of goods and services. Deflation refers to sustained decrease in prices of goods and services. Okay. Now just understand here. See, whenever inflation takes place, that is whenever prices of the goods increase, that can be accompanied by a kind of slowdown in the economy. So when I say slowdown means, I told you investment rate will fall, job creation will fall, production of goods and services will fall. If slowdown and inflation are happening simultaneously, then what is that called as? That is called as stagflation. But if deflation, that is if the prices have fallen and that fall in the prices is accompanied by slowdown. So what I'm trying to say is, if price increases, it will cause slowdown. If price reduces, even that will cause slowdown. But if this slowdown is caused not due to increase in price, but if this slowdown is caused due to decrease in price, then what are we calling this as? Recession. I hope you understood the difference basically. है ना? So please write deflation may lead to a slowdown in the economy. Deflation may lead to a slowdown in the economy. Such a situation is referred to as recession. Such a situation is referred to as recession. Right? After this, write in a box in the form of a mathematical formula: inflation plus slowdown is equal to stagflation. Inflation plus slowdown is equal to stagflation. Deflation plus slowdown is equal to recession. Deflation plus slowdown is equal to recession. समझ में आया सबको? Okay. Now write causes. We are done with the meaning. Write causes. Just see the causes of inflation जो आपने लिखा है. Inflation. What do you think? Why deflation may be caused? Based upon inflation, why deflation will be caused? Why prices will fall? We don't have a word called demand push. Okay? One is if there is a fall in demand, when the fall in demand, or when there is increase in supply. That's it. So it's just the opposite of inflation. So please write deflation may be caused due to demand supply mismatch, assuming demand and supply are independent. Deflation may be caused due to deflation. Continue. Deflation can be caused due to, right, number one, decrease in demand, assuming supply remains constant. Any idea of when this can take place? Can you give me some specific examples where the demand may fall and that can lead to fall in the prices of some commodities? But some example with that you've seen around you. कोई भी example हो सकता है. Demand for what? Combustion vehicles, the internal combustion vehicles. Okay, then good. I would say, imagine like this. During COVID, this is a very good example. During COVID, the entire country was in lockdown. People were not moving from one place to another. What do you think may have happened to demand for petrol and diesel? Demand for petrol and diesel drastically reduced. And generally, if you see in India, prices of petrol and diesel, they don't fall. The prices of petrol and diesel keep on increasing. Very surprisingly, during COVID, there was large scale fall in the prices of petrol and diesel because of decrease in demand. Is that part clear? Okay. So you can write on example. Decrease in demand for petrol and diesel, decrease in demand for petrol and diesel during COVID, during COVID led to fall in their prices, led to fall in their prices. Next, right? Increase in supply, increase in supply, assuming demand remains constant. Increase in supply, assuming demand remains constant. Example, you can write. Example, bumper production of tomato in a year. Suddenly, if the production of tomato in a year increases, what will happen is price of the tomato will fall. Especially, you must have seen images of farmers throwing away tomatoes on the roads, right? Because they're not getting enough amount of price if they sell the tomato in the market. Can you take down this example? Online students, is it clear now? I think the technical issue has been sorted out. Please let me know. Okay. Next, you can write effects. Effects of deflation. Effects of deflation. Yes, just check effects of inflation. Effects of inflation, you check. And now, based upon that, tell me what is the effect of deflation. In case of inflation, who gets first affected in during inflation? Consumer gets first affected. In case of deflation, who gets the first affected? The producer will get first affected. Imagine I am selling this marker last year at rupees 10. Now this year I am selling the marker at rupees 5. So what will happen to the profits of the producer? The profits of the producer will fall. Right? So this time it is the producer who is going to get first affected. But consumer will get benefited, na? Consumer will be happy. Why will not be happy? Consumer is not strictly a consumer also. Consumer is also a kind of producer. Or consumer is also a employee. He's employed somewhere. So imagine you might be happy to see that the prices of goods and services are falling. You will be happy. But that can be short-lived happiness. The reason is you are employed in a particular company. That company is making less profit. So what will that company do? The company will probably fire you, which means you will not have any job only. If there's no job, there's no income, there's no wages, even the price of the goods and services are falling, you don't have money to purchase it. Ultimately, even the consumer will also get affected. I hope you understood this thing, right? So please write effect, right? First one, uh, continue like this only. Decrease in prices, decrease in prices, decrease in prices, adversely affects, adversely affects the producer, adversely affects the producer, people, and the economy as a whole. And the economy as a whole. Under that, write producer, first one. Decrease in profits of the producers, decrease in profits of the producers as decrease in profits of the producers as they earn less, as they earn less. Next, people. Next, right, people. Consumer people, right? Increase in unemployment, increase in unemployment among the people as the companies are no longer making profit, as the companies are no longer making profits. Last one, economy, right? Decrease in investment, decrease in investment. Second, increase in unemployment, increase in unemployment. Third, decrease in GDP, decrease in GDP growth. Next line you can write. Thus deflation leads to slowdown in the economy. Thus deflation leads to slowdown in the economy. And such a scenario is called as recession. And such a scenario is called as recession. Such a scenario is called as recession. Okay, fine. So we are done with the recession also now. So make the next heading. What is good for the economy? Right? What is good for the economy? Make the heading. What is good for the economy? Okay, just pay attention. I'll recreate these things. Okay, let's say my left hand here represents the supply and right hand represents the demand. This is supply, this is demand. What did I say? That if demand supply, if there's a mismatch between the two, will either cause inflation or it may cause deflation or recession. Okay, let's assume that supply is constant but demand has drastically increased. For example, demand has drastically increased. In that case, what we will call this as Inflation. Is inflation good for the economy? It is not at all good. That we covered, no? That inflation will lead to a problem which we call it as stagflation. Let's say supply is constant but demand has dropped. If demand drops, what is that situation called as? Deflation. Is deflation good? Even that is equally bad. Which means if the demand is very high, it is bad. If demand is very low, even that is equally bad. What is good then? Does it mean that demand and supply should perfectly match? Should they perfectly match? Imagine like this. If demand and supply are perfectly matching, supply is increasing, demand is also increasing by same amount. Demand and supply are perfectly matching. In that particular case, it would mean that price of commodities will remain same year on year. If this marker is costing us 10 rupees in the year 2000, next year 2001 it will cost us 10 rupees. 2002 10 rupees. 2003 10 rupees. Even in 2025 also it will be 10 rupees. Is it good? If prices of goods and services do not increase, if they remain same, is it good? Even that is equally bad. Why it is equally bad? Huh? Why is not leading to growth? Okay. Then good. No, there's nothing like foreign exchange. There's something else. Think. So what is the most important thing? I'm a manufacturer. Understand? Last year, I used to get 10 rupees for the marker. This year also I'm getting 10 rupees. The amount of profit that I'm making every year is same. Like in 2000, I used to make 10 rupees per marker. Now I'm making 10 rupees per marker. Where is the incentive for me to increase the production? Or where is the incentive for me to make more amount of investment? If I'm not making more profit, will I create more jobs? I will not create more jobs. If I don't create more jobs, will people's income increase? People's income will also not increase, which means the economy is what? Stagnated. Economy is not growing at all. I'll give you an example here. Let's say something like this. Supply and demand, perfectly they are matching. If they're perfectly matching, if I'm a producer, supply is 100 marker, demand is 100 marker. How many markers I'm producing every year? 100 markers. Next year also demand and supply both are same. Next year also demand and supply both are same, which means every year how many markers I'm producing? Just 100 markers. I'm not increasing the production of marker at all. But let's say demand is slightly more than the supply. The word which I'm using is slightly more, not excessively high, slightly more. If demand is slightly more than the supply, if I am a producer, for me that demand is an incentive to increase production. Getting this point? So what will I do? Because I have to increase the supply to match up to the demand, I will make investment in the economy. I will create more jobs in the economy. So I will try to increase the production to match up to the demand. But imagine like this. I am increasing production. I am increasing jobs. People are finding jobs now. People's income is increasing. Every year, if people income increases, what happens to demand in the economy? Demand to badega na? Why demand will increase? Think like this. I'll just give an example. You know, people, they might be earning monthly, they might be earning somewhere like 1 lakh rupees, for example. You know, a lot of people in IT, they might be earning 1 lakh, but In Gurgaon, they'll probably purchase a flat worth 1.5 crore. Why? What is the confidence which is giving them to purchase a flat worth 1.5 crore? Because they are sure that their job is safe, secured. Second, they are sure that their income right now is 1 lakh, but their income is going to increase. So people have that confidence that their income is going to increase. That is why they take loan and purchase a house. Clear with that? So imagine if supply increases to match up to the demand. People have got jobs, people's income has increased, people would want to spend more now. So by the time supply increases to match up to demand, demand फिर से बढ़ गया है. What will this producer do once again? Once again make investment, once again increase the production, once again create more jobs, once again increase the income of the people. Supply increases to match up to demand. Demand क्या होगा by next year? फिर से वो बढ़ेगा. विक्रम बेताल देखा है आपने बचपन में? There's a serial Vikram Betal. So it's like that Vikram Betal. Demand is always one step ahead. Demand is one step ahead. Supply is running to catch up to the demand. But by the time the supply reaches the demand, demand has gone one step ahead. So what is pulling forward the economy? It is the demand in the economy which is pulling forward. If there's no demand, economy will not grow. Understand that. I hope you understood this thing. So if prices do not increase at all, what does it mean? There's no demand in the economy. Economy will not grow. Demand should be slightly high. As far as economy is concerned, our Indian economy, we think that slight increase in demand should be like 4%. कितना होना चाहिए हमारा? 4%. We think if it is 4% inflation, na? Imagine I as a producer, if inflation is 4%, what is my increase in production cost? 4% is my increase in production cost. Is it too high? I don't mind. I don't mind seeing that extra 4% production cost, because I know that even though my production cost has increased by 4%, my profit will be more than 4%. I know that my profit will be like 8%. Production cost is 4%, my profit is 8%. Net profit which I'm getting is 4%. As far as you guys are concerned, consumer, you won't mind paying 4% extra as compared to last year. Why? Because your income has increased by 10%. More than what is the price? समझ में आया? The problem will take place when people's income increases by 2%, but prices increase by 4%. That is where the problem lies. Similarly, if I am the manufacturer, if production cost increases by 4%, but my profit increases by 2%, that is where the problem lies. Understood? Okay. So this interplay of demand and supply is a very complicated thing. We will obviously discuss this in detail in the chapter of inflation. As of now, just know one thing, that neither very high rate of inflation nor negative rate of inflation is good. When I say negative rate of inflation means deflation. At the same time, even zero rate of inflation is also bad. What is good is 4%. That is as far as Indian economy is concerned. In US, it could be different. Any idea how much this could be in US? In US, it is 2%. So US Fed Bank is not targeting 4%. US Fed Bank is targeting what percentage rate of inflation? 2%. समझ में आया? हाँ, it's a developed economy. That's the reason. So please write. Neither high, nor negative rate of inflation, neither high nor negative rate of inflation. After negative rate of inflation, bracket में लिखना deflation. Neither high nor negative rate of inflation is considered good for the economy. Is considered good for the economy. At the same time, at the same time, even zero rate of inflation, at the same time, even zero rate of inflation is considered to be bad. Even zero rate of inflation is considered to be bad. Next para. A moderate rate of inflation, a moderate rate of inflation, a moderate rate of inflation is considered to be ideal, is considered to be ideal in an economy, is considered to be ideal in a economy. Full stop. In case of India, in case of India, in case of India, 4% rate of inflation. In case of India, 4% rate of inflation is considered to be good. Is considered to be good. Is considered to be good. Full stop. This is so because number one, this is so because number one, demand is slightly higher than supply. This is so because demand is slightly higher than the supply. Which in turn encourages production, which in turn encourages production, leading to job creation, leading to increase in leading to job creation. And did I say production also as well? Okay. Next line, next point. Increase in GDP, increase in GDP, increase in GDP leads to increase in income level, and hence sustains higher demand. You can take down this diagram. It's called as virtuous economic cycle. Moderate inflation, demand is slightly higher than supply, encourages producers to make more investment. So you can write on this thing. Encourages producers to make more investment as profits are expected to be higher than increase in the production cost. This is quite important. Now, for example, the production cost may increase by 4%, and they are expecting that the profits will increase by 6%. That is why they are making investment. If this gets reversed, this will not come into play. Clear? Similarly, अगर यहाँ पे ये उल्टा हो रहा है, if increase in inflation rate is more than the income rate, the increase in income, even then this will not take place. I hope you understood the virtuous cycle, everyone. What is our GDP growth rate normally? 6% is our GDP growth rate. It means on an average every year, by what extent income of people is increasing? 6% is what is the income of people increasing? What is the inflation rate? 4%. So what is our real profit, real increase? 2%. So we don't mind. But in 1 year, if our GDP growth rate, let's say, comes down to 2%, that is where the problem lies. Prices are increasing by 4%, but our GDP growth rate is just 2%. We'll be at a loss. Okay? Okay. Next is basics of monetary policy. Basics of monetary policy. Okay, right? Basics of monetary policy. Monetary policy is a policy. Monetary policy is the policy. Monetary policy is a policy which the RBI uses, to control, the total money supply in the economy. Which the RBI uses to control the total money supply in the economy. Okay, next line. During inflation, comma, RBI adopts. Yes, what is that policy called as? Contractionary policy. During inflation, RBI adopts contractionary policy / tight, contractionary / tight / dear monetary policy to suck out excess money. To suck out excess money. To do so, RBI increases policy rates. Policy rates. Next line. during recession, next para, during recession, RBI adopts, okay, please see there, वहां पे क्या लिखा आपने? Contractionary. What do you think is the opposite of contractionary? Expansionary, right? RBI adopts expansionary slash cheap, CHEAP, cheap slash easy, EASY. So it is either called as expansionary or cheap or easy monetary policy. What do you think the RBI will do this to this policy? It will inject money. So, right, to inject money, to inject money into the economy. To do so, RBI reduces policy rates. RBI reduces the policy rates. Okay, so it's like during a inflation and during a recession, if you look at the monetary policy which the RBI adopts, during inflation we call it as contractionary or dear, or it is called as tight. So in this policy, what RBI does is, because there's an inflation, RBI will suck out the excess money. Step taken by RBI. So here RBI will increase the policy rates. उस तरफ, you can just write down this summary. During recession, we call it as expansionary slash cheap. What is the third one? Easy. Yes, easy monetary policy. This is inject more money into the economy. And here RBI should reduce the policy rates. This is generally used by the RBI. This is a term. Okay. Now, what we are going to get into is, we are going to discuss how is RBI sucking out money and how is RBI injecting money. That is what we are going to discuss. Okay. Right, mechanism under this. Okay. Just pay attention now. Okay. Let's say this is a particular bank. The bank is accepting a deposit. Same deposit the bank is giving out in the form of loans, right? When it accepts deposit, to the depositors, the bank will pay some interest. When the bank is giving loan to the borrowers, it will charge the interest. So you have rate of interest on deposit and rate of interest on loans. You look at any bank, between these two, which one will always be higher? I think that is quite logical. No? Rate of interest on loan is always higher than the rate of interest on deposit. If bank is accepting deposit at 4% and if it is giving loan at 3%, वो तो loss हो गया ना बैंक के लिए. So that is why the bank will always give loan at more than the rate of interest on deposit. That's the first thing. Second, if the rate of interest on deposits increases, what will happen to rate of interest on loans? That will also increase. Rate of interest on loans will also increase. Alternatively, if rate of interest on deposits reduce, ideally, what should happen to rate of interest on loans? वो तो कम होना चाहिए ना? Which means, can I make this statement that rate of interest on deposits and loans increase and decrease simultaneously? यहाँ तक clear है? So please write under this first one. Basics to understand. Basics to understand. Under this, basics to understand. Write the first point under this. Rate of interest on loans. Rate of interest on loans is always higher than rate of interest on deposit. Rate of interest on loans is always higher than rate of interest on deposit. Second, rate of interest on deposits and loans, rate of interest on deposits and loans increase and decrease simultaneously. Increase and decrease simultaneously. Okay? Now just pay attention. Let's say this is a particular bank. The bank is accepting a deposit and the bank is giving out a loan. Now, for example, let's say this is a case of inflation. Okay. Please tell me, why is inflation caused? Due to increase in money supply or decrease in money supply? Yes? Increase in money supply during inflation. So I will write here, cause is increased in money supply. Okay. What should happen to money supply during inflation? Money supply should reduce. So I'm writing here, money supply reduces. Here also I'm writing money supply reduces. Okay. So let's say here at the top you have a RBI and here you have the bank. So RBI during inflation what it should do is it should suck out this money from the economy. Here you have people. RBI is not interacting with the people. RBI is interacting with whom? With the banks. RBI is not directly sucking out money from the people's pocket. It is indirectly sucking the money from the people's pocket through what? Banks. How is RBI doing it? That's what I'm going to show it to you. Okay? For example, let's concentrate on the lower part. I'm not focusing on the RBI part. I'm just concentrating here. Let's say there is rate of interest on deposits. For example, increases. Let's assume in this case, I am bank, and you all are people. What I am doing is I have increased the rate of interest on deposit. Let's say earlier the rate of interest was 4%, now it is 6%. What will you do? Will you deposit more or will you deposit less? You will deposit more. It's an incentive for you to deposit more money. So if the rate of interest on deposits increases, it will encourage people to deposit more. If people are depositing more money with the bank, what will happen to money with the people? कम हो जाएगा. Money supply is reducing. Let's say this side. I'm a bank. Let's say now I am increasing the rate of interest on loans. What is the second point that you wrote? Rate of interest on deposits and loans increase or decrease simultaneously. अगर रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट ऑन डिपॉजिट्स इंक्रीज हुआ तो रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट ऑन लोन्स भी क्या होना चाहिए? इंक्रीज होना चाहिए. रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट ऑन लोन्स इज इंक्रीजिंग, राइट? I am giving you loans at a higher rate of interest now. Would you take more loans or less loans? You will take less loans. So this will discourage people from taking more loans. So because of that, what will happen to money supply? Money supply will reduce. यहाँ तक clear है? Okay. Now I'll change this entire scenario. Until now, I was saying I'm a bank and you are people. Now let's see, I am RBI and you are the banks. ठीक है? You are the banks. RBI will never fix. I'm repeating this. RBI does not fix the rate of interest on deposits and the rate of interest on loans. RBI will not ask a bank, you keep this much interest on your deposit and you keep this much interest on your loans. But what RBI will do, RBI will influence. RBI will force. RBI will nudge the banks to change their rate of interest on deposits and loans. So I will never tell you, please increase the rate of interest on deposits. What will I do? I'll take some actions which will force you to increase the rate of interest on deposits. What is that? I told you, RBI has number of monetary policy tools at its disposal. There are multiple tools like CRR, SLR, repo, reverse repo, SDF. There are so many tools. But as of now, I will just tell you two tools. One is repo, other one is reverse repo. Two tools, repo and reverse repo. Let's see here. यहाँ पे, if bank is accepting deposits from the public, RBI is banker to whom? RBI is banker to banks. So RBI will also accept a deposit from the banks. But when RBI is accepting deposit from the bank, RBI will pay some interest to the bank. That interest which the RBI pays, उसको क्या बोलते हैं? रिवर्स रेपो. समझ में आया? Same way, bank gives loans to public. RBI is a banker to bank. So RBI will also give loans to the banks. The interest at which RBI gives loans to the banks, that interest को क्या बोलते हैं हम? Repo rate. Please write down basics to understand. Third point, RBI does not fix the rate of interest on deposits and loans. RBI does not fix the rate of interest on deposits and loans of the banks. Full stop. Rather, RBI influences the banks to increase or decrease the rate of interest by changing the policy rates. Okay, यहाँ पे देखो, here during inflation, what RBI will do? RBI will increase the reverse repo rate. Reverse repo rate is increased. So let's say I am RBI, you all are banks. What am I telling you now? I am telling you that if you have money, you come and deposit that money with me, I will pay you more interest. So will you keep more money or less money with me? Less money. You will be encouraged to keep more money with me, na? So banks are encouraged to keep more deposits with RBI. Now I'm going to connect both the two things. You are a bank now. I am telling you, you deposit more money with me, I'll pay you more interest. Ultimately, you need to get money from somewhere, na? From where will you get money? From the customers. How do you get more money from the customers? Increasing the rate of interest on deposit. Did I ask you to increase the rate of interest on deposits? No. I am telling you, you deposit money with me, I'll pay you more interest, which is in turn influencing you to increase the rate of interest on deposit. So banks are encouraged to keep more deposits. So banks want more money from depositors. So what will happen to rate of interest on deposits now? Rate of interest on deposits will increase. Can you connect the dots right from top to bottom? Let's see this side. RBI increases the repo rate. It means, what is repo rate? Repo rate is a rate at which RBI is giving loan to the bank. Banks will take more loans or less loans? Less loans. Banks are discouraged from taking more loans. If banks have less money to give out loans, अगर बैंक के पास कम पैसा है लोन देने के लिए, what will happen to rate of interest on loans? Increase. That's it. So you can see the entire logic. Is that part clear? Okay. So write down the next one. Basics to understand. Repo rate is the rate at which RBI gives loans to the banks. Repo rate is the rate at which RBI gives loans to the banks. Reverse repo is a rate at which RBI accepts deposits from the banks. Accepts deposits from the banks. Next line, next basics to understand. As per Taylor's rule, Taylor, 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 as per Taylor's rule, comma, central bank should increase the policy rates. Central bank should increase the policy rates during inflation. Central bank should increase the policy rates during inflation and decrease the policy rates during recession. So if you know this thing, na, your monetary policy is simplified. Just remember Taylor's rule. कैसे याद रखना है? During inflation, what happens to prices? Prices increase. What should happen to policy rates? Policy rates should also increase. During recession, what happens to prices? Prices fall. What should happen to policy rates? Policy rates should also fall. What are the policy rates? That is the next part that we'll be covering. Okay? So please make this diagram. Make this diagram in a different mode. I say, yes, like this, where you divide this into two half. One part is inflation, the other part is recession. Okay? Okay. Shiva, anything okay? AC is not working, or it's too cold? Too cold. कौन सा यहाँ पे? ड्यूरिंग रिसेशन क्या होना चाहिए? इंक्रीज होना चाहिए। दोनों भी इंक्रीज ही है। डन। Okay. भरत हो गया? शिवा? हेमंत? आशु? अभी तक नहीं हुआ? हेमंत? हम्म. Okay. I told you we have covered this meaning, cause, effect, steps needed for the first one. Monetary policy basics we have covered. Next is monetary policy committee and inflation targeting framework. That's the next. But before that, okay, this is basically the same diagram which you have incorporated. You can have a same look at the diagram from the PPT as well. I hope you're able to understand the same diagram only. So during inflation, what does the Taylor's rule say? Policy rate should increase during inflation. During recession, decrease. So that's what. Okay? Because you have made the same diagram, no need to incorporate this. But look at this statement. Repo is the rate at which RBI accepts deposits from the banks, whereas reverse repo is the rate at which RBI gives loans to the banks. This false. I just interchange the two. Okay? According to Taylor's rule, the policy rate should increase during inflation and decrease during recession. Increase in policy rates lead to increase in interest rates on deposits and loans, which will lead to decrease in money supply. ठीक है? Getting confused? I think it is easy. Okay. Increase in repo rate leads to increase in money supply. If the repo rate increases, you should ask like this. If repo rate increases means RBI is giving loan to the banks at a higher rate of interest. If RBI is giving loans to banks at a higher rate of interest, what will happen to money supply? Money supply will reduce. Increase in reverse repo. Increase in reverse repo leads to increase in money supply. If the reverse repo increases, it means RBI is offering more interest to the banks. It will encourage banks to deposit more money. So what will happen to money supply? Money supply will reduce. ठीक है? Clear है? Okay. I'll share this statement based question. आप अपने आप से भी फिर से बाद में ट्राई कर लेना. ठीक है? Let's move to the next one. Monetary Policy Committee. Monetary Policy Committee, MPC. Okay. You can simultaneously write this. Okay. You can make this diagram in a separate mode, like the way of incorporate the previous diagram, because it's going to take up the entire page, the entire board. Okay. So we are going to cover about MPC, Monetary Policy Committee. So if you look at the background to Monetary Policy Committee, MPC is basically a statutory body created in 2016 under the RBI Act 1934, and it has been established on the recommendations of Urjit Patel Committee. So there are some keywords which I want you to underline. First keyword क्या होगा यहाँ पे? It is a statutory body because it has been created under the law. Which law is that? RBI Act 1934. Year कौन सा है? 2016. Which committee? Urjit Patel Committee, Monetary Policy Committee. ठीक है? Next is composition. What's the composition of this Monetary Policy Committee? The composition is, it has totally 6 members. Totally it has 6 members. You have from the RBI 3 members. RBI से 3 members हैं. Who are these members? You have RBI governor. RBI governor is a chairperson. Is the chairperson of MPC. Then there is deputy governor. How many deputy governors RBI has? 4. One person is part of MPC. And third one is a person who is nominated by the central board of RBI. How many members are there in central board? 21. So the central board will nominate one person to be on MPC. Okay. Second, from the government, you have another 3 members, and all of these 3 members, they are nominated by the government. So basically, these are people who have the necessary expertise in monetary policy. If you see the tenure, okay, and this is very interesting. What's the tenure of RBI governor and deputy governor? Maximum 5 years. Okay, but if you look at the tenure of MPC, the tenure of MPC members is 4 years. Okay, so there is a kind of an, I would say, lack of coherency, because at one place in the RBI Act 1934, it is said that RBI governor and deputy governor would have 5-year tenure. But in another place where it talks about MPC, it says they have a tenure of 4 years. What I think is, when it is saying tenure of 4 years, it is not for governor and deputy governor. When it says tenure of 4 years, it is for whom? It is for this person nominated by central board and these 3 members. So the tenure is not for RBI governor and deputy governor. But in UPSC prelims, if they make a statement that the tenure of MPC members is 4 years, go with that. Okay? Governor and deputy governor, are they eligible for reappointment? Yes. यहाँ पे what is interesting is these members are not eligible for reappointment. They're not eligible for reappointment. Okay. With respect to decision making, how does MPC makes decision? Number one, decisions are taken based upon majority. Decisions are taken based upon majority. हाँ, but there's a problem. क्या problem है? How many members are there? 6. तो क्या होगा यहाँ पे? There can be a tie. So what will happen in case of a tie? RBI governor, who is the chairperson, RBI governor who is the chairperson would have a casting vote. When I say casting vote means the RBI governor will have one additional vote. Initially, RBI governor would vote as a normal member of MPC, as a normal member. But if there's a case of tie, RBI governor will have a additional vote. I hope you understood. Okay, so you can write second point. In case of tie, RBI governor has casting vote. RBI governor has a casting vote. Third, very important, RBI governor does not enjoy veto power. What's the meaning of veto power? Right to reject. That power he does not has. He only has a casting vote. For example, let's say I am the RBI governor and there's a decision which is to be taken. The decision is, should we increase the repo rate or not? Should the repo rate should be increased or not? That's a decision. Let's say I am the RBI governor and I, for example, I say yes, but remaining 5 members say no. What's the majority saying? Majority saying no. No means no in this particular case. Just because RBI governor is saying yes, he does not have a right to enforce his viewpoint. So that's what I said. He does not enjoy veto power. Okay? What is the mandate? What's the role of MPC? With respect to role of MPC, government fixes inflation target under RBI Act 1934 every 5 years. इन्फ्लेशन टारगेट कौन फिक्स कर रहा है? आरबीआई फिक्स कर रहा है, गवर्नमेंट फिक्स कर रहा है. गवर्नमेंट इज फिक्सिंग इन्फ्लेशन टारगेट. फॉर हाउ मेनी इयर्स डज इट फिक्स? 5 years. When was MPC set up? 2016, which means first time the target was applicable from 2016 to 2021. Once 2021 got over, second time the target was set on, and that was from 2021 to 2026. Both the time the target has remained same. What is that inflation target that we are targeting? 4%, which could be plus or minus 2. So government fixes inflation target under RBI Act 1934 for 5 years, every 5 years. Presently, the target rate of inflation is 4%, which could increase or decrease by 2%. Thus, inflation should be between 2 to 6%. Once the government fixes the inflation target, whose role is to meet that inflation target? MPC. MPC role is to meet the inflation target. Okay. MPC can fix only the repo rate. MPC can fix only the repo rate, which means all other policy rates, who do you think are fixing? RBI में कौन? All other policy rates are fixed by RBI governor. What are the other policy rates? CRR, SLR, reverse repo, all of that is fixed by RBI governor. MPC will fix only one thing, which is repo rate. Next one, which is very interesting. Decisions of MPC is binding on RBI. Decisions of MPC is binding on RBI. Okay. Then there is about a meeting of MPC. Meeting under RBI Act 1934, at least 4 meetings in a year. How many times you should meet? At least 4 times. What about central board? At least 6 times. This is at least 4 times. And presently, how many times does it meet? Anyone? MPC. Huh? It meets every 2 months. It meets every 2 months means bi-monthly. So presently, you can write under this, presently MPC meets every 2 months. It meets every 2 months. ज़्यादा clear है? Next can write, there is no space left. और एक लिखो last वाला, accountability of MPC. If you have space in the mind map, you can incorporate, otherwise you can write separately. Accountability of MPC. MPC should submit. MPC should submit. MPC should submit monetary policy report. MPC should submit monetary policy report every 6 months. MPC should submit monetary policy report every 6 months to the government. Second, if the RBI, second one, if the RBI fails to meet inflation target. If the RBI fails to meet inflation target for 3 consecutive quarters, if the RBI fails to meet inflation target for 3 consecutive quarters, in the bracket write 9 months, 9 months, comma, it should submit a report to the government. It should submit a report to the government highlighting reasons for its failure. Highlighting the reasons for its failure. ठीक है, everything is about MPC. Clear है? Take your time quickly, everyone. I'm going to take up some practice questions from what we have covered. नहीं नहीं, inflation target is only under RBI Act. हाँ, नहीं, that 4 years tenure is not for RBI governor and deputy governor. Like I said, the 4 years tenure is for the other 4 members. Okay, please see this. Prelims 2017. Which of the following statements are correct regarding MPC? It's not visible. But just tell me the statements, whether the first statement is right. It decides the RBI's benchmark interest rate. Which is that benchmark interest rate? A repo rate, right? You have mentioned MPC can fix the repo rate. Now that repo rate is itself called as benchmark. So this is right. It is a 12-member body. It is a 6-member. It functions under the chairmanship of Union Finance Minister. Chairman कौन है? RBI governor. So second and third are incorrect. Right answer is 1 only. Look at the year in which it was asked. 17. When was MPC set up? 16. Which committee? Urjit Patel committee. What is false? BR Act 1949. It is not BR Act 1949, it is RB Act. Good. Can he exercise veto power? He does not have veto power. I told you. He has a casting vote. The inflation target is fixed by the government every 5 years. The inflation target is set in terms of CPI, Consumer Price Index. In the handout, sorry, in the note, you can write the government fixes inflation target in the bracket, right, in terms of CPI. So we have not yet covered that, but as of now, just understand that there are 2 ways of measuring inflation. One is CPI, other one is WPI, Wholesale Price Index. So right now, when we say 4% inflation, the 4% inflation is for CPI, Consumer Price Index. So make that government fixes inflation target in terms of CPI every 5 years. Which act? RBI Act only. MPC can set only the repo rate. All other policy rates are set by the RBI governor. If the RBI fails to meet inflation target for 3 consecutive quarters, it is required to submit report to the government, which is right. Okay? Okay. Next, make the heading. Assets and liabilities of bank. Assets and liabilities of bank. Assets and liabilities of bank. Okay. Let's see here. So, seeing from the perspective of a bank, let's first list out as to what are the assets of a bank. The first asset of a bank is obviously the loans to the public. The loans which the banks give to the public, it is an asset. Second, anything else that you think is an asset? Hmm? No, SLR is not. Deposits? Deposits which the bank maintain with the RBI, that becomes a kind of asset. Okay, good. So the second thing which is an asset is bank may make investment in shares, bonds, or government securities. It is an asset. Third, cash balances with the RBI. When bank is maintaining some balances with RBI, what is that called as? CRR. Now just think of it. This might be a little confusing. यहाँ पे concentrate करना. Let's say this is a bank. Bank is accepting a deposit. Say it has accepted deposit of 100 rupees from me. ठीक है? After accepting this 100 rupees deposit from me, bank will keep some percentage of my deposits with the RBI in the form of what? CRR, which is right now 4%. 4% of 100 कितना होगा ये? 4 rupees. Clear? Now, when the bank is keeping 4 rupees with RBI, whose money it is? 4 rupees. Bank's money or my money? It is depositor's money, na? But here, this money the bank is keeping with whom? RBI. So bank will say to RBI, it is my money that I have kept with you. So for the bank वो क्या होगा? वो asset होगा. But for the RBI वो क्या होगा? That becomes a liability. You understood this thing? So you do not think like that CRR balances is like bank's liability. It's not bank's liability. It is actually bank's asset. It's like saying, for example, let's say Shiva gives me 100 rupees. That 100 rupees I am lending to Parth, for example. Bank is accepting deposit. That deposit bank is keeping with the RBI. Now, that 100 rupees which I have lent to Parth, for me what it is? For me it is asset. You can't say कि नहीं ये 100 rupees आपने शिवा से लिया तो वो आपके लिए liability होगा. This deposit which I have accepted from him, that is my liability. But the loan which I have given to him, for me it is an asset. यहाँ पे who is keeping money with RBI? Bank is keeping, so for the bank it is an asset. No doubts here, everyone? Okay. The next thing is what is called as call, notice, or term money. Please pay attention. What is this? I'll dictate all of this. Call, notice, and term money. Let's say there is a bank X. This bank X gives loan to bank Y. So that loan which bank X is giving to Y, it can either be called as call money, notice money, or term money, depending upon the duration of the loan, for how long the loan is given. For example, if the loan is given for 1 day, उसको हम क्या बोलेंगे? We will call this as call money. If the loan is given for 2 to 14 days, we will call it as the notice money. If it is for more than 14 days and less than 1 year, we call this as what money? Term money. So please remember this order: call, notice, and term. Call money is like 1 day. 2 to 14 days, term. No, sorry, notice. More than 14 days, less than 1 year, it is term. Okay? Okay. Now tell me, for example, in UPSC prelims, there is a statement: which among the following constitutes asset of the RBI? Sorry, asset of a bank. In that particular case, in the option, one of the option is call money. Should we consider this as an asset or liability? Okay. If you see from the perspective of bank X, call, notice and term money क्या बनेगा? Asset बनेगा. But same call, notice and term money from the perspective of bank Y क्या बनेगा? Liability. So UPSC asked this question: which among the following is an asset of the bank? And there the option is call money. You can't call up UPSC and ask from which bank's perspective are you asking. Are you asking from the bank which is giving loan, or are you asking for the bank which is taking loan? Obviously वो confusion रहेगा ना, genuine confusion है. If you are still not getting it, prelims 2019. Which of the following is not included in the assets of the commercial bank in India? What's the answer? Which of the following is not an asset? No, advance is a loan. Advance is a loan. So loan is an asset. It's asking which one is not an asset. यहाँ पे क्या है? What is not an asset? Deposit. हाँ? Deposit with? यहाँ पे लिखा है क्या? Deposit RBI. यहाँ पे क्या लिखा है? Deposits लिखा है ना? तो deposit means which deposits? Bank's deposit. But I say this is a very easy question. UPSC was very lenient towards the students because the options are A, B, C, D. Imagine the options are 1, 2, 3, 4 and एक option है 2 only and another option is 2 and 4 only. तब आप क्या करोगे? Obviously वो confusion रहेगा ना, whether call, notice is, are you asking from the perspective of bank which is lending money, because then it becomes an asset. But if you ask it from the perspective of bank which is borrowing money, it becomes what? Liability. By default, call, notice and term money is always spoken of from the perspective of the bank which is lending money, not which is accepting money. If it is accepting money ना, उसको हम बोलेंगे interbank borrowings. No, will not call it as call, notice or term money. Interbank borrowings. समझ में आया everyone? Okay. So getting back here, this one is understood. Okay. Next one, which is very confusing. I'm warning you here only. It's very confusing. It is cash in hand with banks. What is this cash in hand with the banks? Let's say you go to a bank branch. Any particular bank branch will have certain cash with it. That cash which the bank has, for the bank what it is? For the bank it is an asset, because whose money it is? It is bank's money ना, तो वो बैंक के लिए क्या होगा? एसेट होगा. बट यहाँ पे कंफ्यूजन क्या होगा, आई टेल यू. अगर आपके दिमाग में डाउट नहीं आया है, आई विल पुट अ डाउट इन योर माइंड. चलो, लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इट इज कैश इन हैंड. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, let's say this is a bank, and you have, for example, Hemant goes to the bank, and let's say he deposits cash worth 1 lakh with the bank. He is depositing cash. The bank will accept cash. The bank will have this 1 lakh rupees cash now. So obviously you'll have this doubt, na? Ki whose cash it is with the bank now? It is bank's cash or Hemant's cash? कैसे? ये आपने कैश डिपॉजिट किया ना वहां पे, तो आपका पैसा हो गया. हाँ, बट आप अपना कैश वापस मांग सकते हो ना. हाँ, ऑब्वियसली अगर आपने कैश 1 लाख डिपॉजिट किया तो वो आप लायबिलिटी हो गया ना बैंक का, वो असर कैसे हो गया? Because you'll ask for 1 lakh rupees, na? Because he is asking for 1 lakh, it should become what? Liability. Why it is becoming an asset? Okay, good. Uh, what happens? Now, this is what I told you is very confusing. If I am a bank, when I accept 1 lakh cash from Hemant, what I will do as a bank is I will make 2 accounting entries. How many entries will I make in my accounts? 2 entries. What are these entries? One entry I will make as my what? Liability. Where is my liability? My liability is in my deposit. So against Hemant's deposits, liability, I will write that I have accepted 1 lakh from him. It is my liability, no? But from him, what did I get? I got a cash. So I'll make another entry like this. Cash in hand with bank. And I will write this as what? My asset. And against this, I will write how much? 1 lakh. What is my liability? 1 lakh. What is my asset? 1 lakh. Asset and liability दोनों match हो रहे हैं या नहीं? If you're still not getting confused, let's say 1 lakh rupees which I have with me, let's say I give that 1 lakh in the form of loan to Shivam. तब क्या होगा? वो 1 lakh rupees cash वो मेरे लिए क्या होगा? Asset ही होगा ना? I hope you understood, everyone. So whenever banks have cash with them, that cash is always an asset of the bank. Always an asset. Understand this. ठीक है? No confusion यहाँ पे. I hope all of these 5 assets clear. So right, assets of the bank include loans to the public, investment in shares, bonds and government securities, Third, cash balances with the RBI. In the bracket, CRR. Under that, you can write down the CRR balances. Maintained by the bank with RBI. The CRR balances maintained by the bank with RBI are the assets of the bank, and liabilities of RBI are the assets of the bank and liabilities of RBI. Next, call notice, call notice or term money. Call notice or term money. Under that, you can write down it refers to interbank lending. It refers to interbank lending for short term. It refers to interbank lending for short term of less than 1 year. It refers to interbank lending for short term for less than 1 year. Under that, first point you can write, if one bank lends money to another bank for 1 day, if one bank lends money to another bank for 1 day, it is called as call money. It is called as call money. Full stop. For 2 to 14 days, for 2 to 14 days, it is called as notice money. For 2 to 14 days, it is called as notice money. For more than 14 days and less than 1 year, for more than 14 days and less than 1 year, it is called as term money. Write note after this. Call notice / term money. Call notice / term money is always seen, is always considered as assets, is always considered as assets of the bank. Since it is viewed, since it is viewed, VIEWED, since it is viewed from the perspective of the bank, which is lending money, from the perspective of the bank which is lending money in the bracket, and not from the perspective of the bank borrowing money in the bracket, and not from the perspective of the bank borrowing money. ठीक है? Next, you can write down. I just need 5 minutes. Cash in hand with the banks. Last one, cash in hand with the banks. Right, under this, it refers to the cash. It refers to the cash available with the banks. It refers to the cash available with the banks. Okay. So we are done with the assets. Now let's list out the liabilities, right? Liabilities. Okay. Liabilities 1, first one. Deposits of the public. Deposits of the public. Second, interbank borrowings. ये कौन सा है interbank borrowing? Yeah, that is call notice or term money. But don't write call notice and term money, you'll get confused. It is right, interbank borrowing. Third, borrowings from RBI. Borrowings from RBI. Borrowings from RBI. Next one. How many you wrote? 3, na? Next you can write NRI deposits. NRI deposits. Non-resident Indian deposits. Last one, certificate of deposit. Certificate of deposit. Certificate of deposit. Okay. What is certificate of deposit? Remember I told you bond, right? So understand, just like how a company issues bond, a bank will issue what is called as certificate of deposit. Certificate of deposit means bank is borrowing money. This certificate of deposit, it is almost similar to your FD, fixed deposit. So let's quickly look at the difference between the two, fixed deposit and certificate of deposit. What is common to both these two? In both these two, you are keeping your money with a bank for a particular time frame. If you want to keep your money with the bank, you can either do a FD or you can go for certificate of deposit. But if you look at the duration of fixed deposit and certificate of deposit, fixed deposit, it could either be short term or it could be long term. I told you in economy, whenever we say short term means kitna hota hai? Less than 1 year. So it could either be less than 1 year or it could be more than 1 year. But certificate of deposit is always short term. When I say always short term, it is always less than 1 year. Always. That's the first thing. Second, if you look at the amount, how much can be the minimum FD? Anyone knows? Minimum FD. It can be as low as 500. Exactly. You can have a FD of something like 500 or something like even 1000. It varies from bank to bank, but FD ka value, minimum amount, is quite low. Minimum amount is always low. It could be something like rupees 500, 1000. It varies from bank to bank. But if you want to have a certificate of deposit, the minimum amount of certificate of deposit is always, look at this, how much it is? 5 lakh. Which is obviously beyond the scope of a lot of people in India, 5 lakhs. Okay. Okay. If you have a FD with a bank, let's say you have a 5 lakh rupees FD with a bank, what you can do is, in case of emergency, you can break your FD and get that 5 lakh. But problem is, if you break your FD during emergency, you lose out on the interest amount. So what people generally do, they use this FD as a collateral to take loan. So because bank, you have kept 5 lakh rupees FD with the bank, bank will give you 5 lakh rupees loans. If you don't repay the loans, bank has a security. What is that? FD. So FD can be used as a collateral. FD can be used as a collateral. Certificate of deposit cannot be used as a collateral. It cannot be. If you have FD, you cannot trade your FD. When I say you cannot trade your FD, means you cannot transfer your FD into name of someone else. That you cannot do it. Certificate of deposit is like a bond. Because it's like a bond, what you can do? You can transfer it. हाँ, ये आरबीआई के गाइडलाइंस हैं, ठीक है. There are some there are some things which are not logical. Okay. So certificate deposits, they are tradable. Generally, it depends whether it's a short term or long term, because we're talking about duration. Na? If you compare only the short term, that is less than 1 year, certificate deposit has an option of trading. Because they have option of trading, उसका जो rate of interest होगा वो कम होगा as compared to FD. यहाँ तक clear है certificate deposit? So look at all the assets and liabilities of a bank. Huh? SLR is not an asset or a liability. ये इसके बैंक के reserves में आएंगे वो. It's a reserves. We'll cover that when I take up CRR and SLR. Okay. Before you end. Call and notice money is considered as an asset. It's an asset. It is from the perspective of the bank which is lending money. CRR deposits of the banks with the RBI is considered as liability. It's an asset. Okay, we are not yet covered this. We will cover in tomorrow's class. Okay? Tomorrow, same time. Thank you so much.